This article from The Hill is a great example of an establishment bias, and I want you to take note of the framing here. Sanders' single-payer bill poses dilemma for 2020 Dem hopefuls. That's weird. See, this already we have a subtle establishment bias because they're saying, oh, Medicare for all, it's a dilemma for 2020 Democratic hopefuls. So in other words, the accurate framing of that would be, it's an opportunity for 2020 Dem hopefuls. If the Republicans had an issue that they had on their side that had over 60% support in the American people, would they say it's a dilemma? No, they'd say we have an opportunity. We have an issue that over 60% of Americans already agree with us on. We got to hammer away on this issue. So it's not a dilemma, it's an opportunity, but it's framed as a dilemma. Why? Because the establishment doesn't want Medicare for all. The Democrats are doing the bidding of the establishment and the corporations, so now it's a dilemma. Hey, do I serve my corporate donors in the establishment or do I serve the people? A dilemma. It's hard to figure that one out. It's a dilemma. Okay, so let's see what they say here. Senator Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All plan has become a key test for Democrats with 2020 presidential ambitions. Sanders, who energized liberals with his improbable run at the White House last year, is poised to introduce a long-awaited single-payer bill when Congress returns to Washington this month. The liberal icon insists it's not a litmus test for the Democrats, but he's actively seeking endorsements. Outside liberal groups are watching closely, with some hinging their own endorsements on a candidate's support for the healthcare model. Senator Kamala Harris, who's said to be eyeing a 2020 run, threw her weight behind Sanders' bill this week, highlighting the sense that potential candidates want to get on the right side of their base and do it early. The issue poses a dilemma for both Democratic leaders and presidential hopefuls, who are walking a fine line between appeasing their liberal supporters without alienating the more conservative-leaning voters they'll need to win back power in the House, the Senate, and the White House. I'm going to come back to that portion in a minute because that's the most important part. Spokesmen for several Democrats with possible presidential ambitions, including Senator Amy Klobuchar, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, and Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe, did not respond to a request for comment on their stance on single-payer. Senators Chris Murphy, Kirsten Gillibrand, and Sherrod Brown, all potential White House contenders who have voiced support for single-payer in the past, haven't said if they'll endorse Sanders' bill. Their offices were also silent this week. A spokeswoman for Senator Cory Booker, another possible candidate, referred to Booker's interview with Fox in April. He said then that, quote, I believe ultimately in ideas like single-payer or Medicare for all, while adding that, quote, I don't know how we get it done in this environment. Sounds like somebody's hedging. They will face no lack of pressure to try, as liberal groups are already pushing for candidates to get on board. Okay, so, Cory Booker, I mean, don't even get me started, man. Look at the way he phrased that. Such a politician. I believe ultimately in ideas like single-payer or Medicare. What do you mean like? What like? What are you saying? I believe like Medicare for all or single-payer. Oh, so you mean like maybe a public option or maybe a Medicare buy-in. That's what like means. He didn't say, yes, I believe in that. I like that. What do you mean like that? Why not just that? Well, like it. Okay, so a buy-in or public option, so watered down. So not the full progressive populist left idea that you should support. And then he says, I don't know how we get it done in this environment. In other words, don't hold me to what I'm saying here because we can't get it through anyway, so I'm not really in favor of it. That's what Debbie Wasserman Schultz said. Oh, if we had a clean slate, I'd support it, but we don't have a clean slate. So in other words, you don't support it. Oh, but if we get in the future at a time when maybe we can support it, then my support for the proper policy is contingent upon having enough people to get the proper policy. No, your support for the proper policy should be unwavering. It should be steady. It should be no matter what, I support the right policy. Can you imagine that argument in a different context? Look, do I support ending segregation? Yes. But, I mean, look, I don't know how we get it through in this environment. People would say, what the no, do you support ending it or not? Your answer should be, yes, that's it. Yes, full stop. Yes, I support ending it. Well, I support it, but I don't know how we get it through in this environment, and, I support things like ending segregation. Here we go. We run around all day long. But, okay, the most important part The issue poses a dilemma, they say, for both Democratic leaders and presidential hopefuls who are walking a fine line between appeasing their liberal supporters without alienating the more conservative-leaning voters they'll need to win back power in the White House. You see what they're saying there? So it's not just that you have Democrats who want to appease the establishment and the elites and their donors, because their donors don't want Medicare for all. The health insurance companies and Big Pharma doesn't want Medicare for all. But it's not just that the Democrats are appeasing their donors. It's that they've actually also drunk the Kool-Aid on issues like Medicare for all. In other words, they believe the right-wing framing. When the right wing says, government take over healthcare, too expensive, people don't want that, the Democrats go, no, they're totally right. People don't want that. And the establishment media here in the Hill, they say the same shit. They go, well, they need to try to, appease the base. In other words, appease them. You got to appease them. In other words, just say what they want to fucking hear and then don't do it. That's what appease means. We're just going to appease them a little bit here. But they say, without alienating the more conservative-leaning voters. So their assumption is, come on, that's crazy pie-in-the-sky far-left shit, Medicare for all. People don't actually want that, and you got to get the right-wing voters, too, in order to win an election. So you got to not do Medicare for all in order to win. That's the argument they're making. Hey, idiots, the Democrats have not favored Medicare for all, and they keep fucking losing. Maybe they should try to favor it, and then maybe they'd win. So maybe your entire framework is wrong. Maybe your built-in assumptions are 100% wrong. And if anybody at the Hill did some fucking research before they wrote an article, they would learn very quickly that over 60% of the American people support Medicare for all, including over 80% of Democrats, and there are more Republicans that now support Medicare for all than don't support Medicare for all. There are more Republicans that support it than don't support it. So their assumptions are wrong because they're so smug and arrogant in their corporatism and their establishment elitism that they just assume whatever the DC strategists say must be correct, and the strategists say we should never go left wing. People don't want a living wage, no, even though 80% of the American people do. People don't want to raise taxes on the wealthy, no, even though 58% of the American people do. People don't want free college, no, even though 60% of the American people do. People don't want Medicare for all, no, even though over 60% of the American people do. People don't want these left-wing ideas. They don't want to legalize marijuana. Don't be extreme now. That's the establishment laugh. Oh, yes. They do want it. Yes, they want it. 58%. One poll, over 60% of the American people want to legalize marijuana. You name the populist left idea, the American people want it, not just the left, but the center and even the right. People on the right, when they hear populist left ideas, they go, I like that. They don't know that it's populist left. They just go, I like Medicare. I like Medicare. So, okay, let's do that. They don't put that on the spectrum because people don't know enough about labels. So everything populist left, according to the polls, is overwhelmingly popular, but the idiots in the establishment media and the idiot establishment Democratic strategists are like, whatever you do, don't go populist left. But that's how the Democrats will win. So notice, it's all subtle, but every article on this is dripping with dead wrong establishment bias.